Welcome to Taqueando. I'm your host, Bill Esparza, and this week we are heading back to CDMX for part two of my three-part series on dining in Mexico City. This leg, we will cover fondas, cantinas, other street foods, and antojitos. Pura vitamina T, tortas, tacos. Well, the tacos are in the other episode, episode one, all the 11 styles. I hope you've learned them already. But tamales, tostadas, all those wonderful corn based street foods that begin with the letter T, la vitamina T. But before we jump back into Mexico City, this week on Taqueando, we are introducing some new changes to our roster, our squad. This week, I'm joined for the first time live on mic by my producer, Robert Haleblian.
What's up, Bill? Good to be here. Glad to be out of the shadows finally and on the mic.
Yes. We got Luca out of here. The cat's away, the mice will play. We met for the first time on the very famous Cuernavaca's Grill shoot, where we were chronicling what was happening, what's going down in the alleys in the fashion district during these initial ice raids that closed a lot of businesses and were really hurting the neighborhood. That neighborhood is still impacted to this day, but that's where we met, and that was part of promoting Hispanic Heritage Month. We did a series right after that too. So now Robert and I are well oriented. He even picked me up at the Pacific Surfliner in Oceanside and took me to his favorite spot, his favorite gelato spot.
Yeah, man, we had a lot of fun. San Diego Food and Wine, Cuernavacas. I would like to say we're somewhat responsible for Holbox, Mercado La Paloma, number one LA Times. Can we claim a little bit of that? We did a video series. I don't think we can claim any of that.
We are certainly part of the algorithm of life in that situation.
Yeah, man, we had a great summer. It was good meeting you. Obviously, the Cuernavaca shoot, that was not the greatest time in the world for the fashion district, but yeah, man, it was great to get to know you over that. And we talked politics for maybe an hour and a half after the shoot, so that was always a good way to get to know Bill. We have some similar thoughts and views on things like that.
And we found out that you have a knack for catching me on camera doing things that probably I'd ask you to edit out, but you keep them. So I like that.
Oh yeah, we got to keep the cameras rolling anytime Bill's around. You never know what you're gonna get.
So yeah, I appreciate that. So you're going to be joining us in the future for all of our Antojito segments and also deep dive episodes where we don't have a guest. Um, Speaking of, let's okay now. Oh, I'm not. That's just a message. So you're going to be joining us in the future for all of our Antojito segments and these deep dives, like we're doing today. This one into Mexico City, other foods to eat besides tacos on the street, and into the traditional eateries. Speaking of, you know this. At Taqueando, eating antojitos is a way of life, from the world's most celebrated dining rooms to the gritty stands and storied market stalls that preserve culture. Life is short, so we must eat well. I have to. And here are this week's Antojitos Rundown. Now, you're going to see this all the time here. I'm never stopping my trips to Tijuana. Get used to it. I hope it doesn't bore you, but I'm going to Tijuana all the time. It's only 2 hours away. It's one of the best things about living in Los Angeles here is that not only do we have this great food scene, but we have San Diego, which has wonderful things, especially, oh my God, Oceanside and Carlsbad, right? Really coming up in the fine dining world. But Tijuana is 2 hours away, 2.5 hours, 3 hours plus on the train, which is what I like to do. And you know, and it's not just any border town. I mean, you could live near Agua Prieta and eat nachos, which is great. But I've been to Agua Prieta, and it's not an exciting culinary city. It is, if I lived nearby, I'm sure I'd go, but I would not go as often as I do because Tijuana is, to me, the second best street food city in Mexico after Mexico City. And definitely people could argue, well, what about Guadalajara? Those three together are the top three, no matter what order you want to put them in. I'm going to keep Ciudad de Mexico at number one, but Tijuana, oh my God, the street food and the traditional cuisine. Now, I know you're saying, well, they don't have traditions. Well, they do now. they've been doing their cuisine for a while, so they have new traditions.
But would you say that it's easier for Angelinos to get more accustomed to the Tijuana style of food because of how popular some of our Tijuana style tacos are over here?
You betcha, Robert. I mean, LA is a Tijuana city when it comes to street food. We have, well, certain items, right? We have birria de res, which is everywhere. And LA is the place that this whole thing blew up all over, the United States, in Europe, worldwide. It's a Tijuana tradition, but the taqueros, Teddy's Red Tacos, Birreria Gonzalez are the first two vendors that started selling birria de res here. And Los Poblanos and the tire shop are the first to really do that Tijuana style carne asada. And we have so many vendors now doing those two styles: the carne asada tacos, the adobada, the birria, and of course we've always been one of the better cities in the United States for Baja fish tacos. So you have this connection, right? But for me as a writer, and just for fun, I enjoy eating there frequently, and you can learn so much. You can learn so much of Mexico. You do have some nearby traditions in Tijuana. You can find really good food from Sonora, Sinaloa. Oh my God, the Sinaloa seafood scene down in Tijuana is incredible, and we just don't have that level of commitment, ingredients, expertise here in those types of restaurants. So gosh, I can go down there and I can get a lot of experience eating, and it's fun and it's delicious and it's amazing. Okay, it's a good time in Tijuana. So one of the places I hit, and it was new for me, was Birria de la Baja, which is near the Culinary Arts School. And I try to go, not every trip, but I try to do this often. Is to hit up a new Birria de Res spot in Tijuana and to really get the whole range of it, from the mediocre ones to the best of the best. And again, just expanding my experience. And of course, birria de res for breakfast is always a great idea. This place is really nice. The three items I ordered were the quesataco de birria, and I had that with chicharron, so campechano style. And then I had the quesataco de lengua, which is also birria, but it's beef tongue. And I had that by itself, and both with melted cheese, of course. And then I had a tostada, and of course, when we order tostadas in Mexico, they're always all the way to the edge. Just a reminder out there, chefs, stop with these canopies. Make your tostadas go to the edge, buddies.
You love edging, right, Bill?
Edging, there has to be edging on the tostadas. There has to be,
Always,
you know,
always.
always. And so the tostada was a birria tostada with melted cheese and uh, tripas. So wonderful, earthy tostada with the salsa macha, which is, of course, very popular with birria de res in Tijuana, and great spot. And it's a little out of the way. Again, it's out there by the Culinary Arts School, and it's at the end of a little strip, and so it's not convenient, but we are thorough, and we are trying to hit as many birria de res spots in Tijuana before we call it a life. The other thing I hit was an old favorite. I had not been in a long time. Tacos El Ruso, not related to the one here in Los Angeles, a long time traditional carne asada spot in Tijuana. Now, this is so old school, they don't even have the adobada. Like all the carne asada stands that open now, they have to have the fritanga with the suadero, they have to have the adobada stands, the stations, and they also have to have carne asada, Tijuana style. And that means just thin cut sirloin or chuck, grilled on a fire on coals with just salt. You have to have that guacamole, which is almost like pure avocado. You got to have onions and cilantro. You got to have the tomato salsa. And people in Tijuana, they will not go to your stand if you don't get those components right. That tomato sauce and that guacamole have to be abundant, and they have to be tasty.
Bill, you famously do not put lime on your tacos, but I noticed you posted that some of these avocado sauces are so heavy with lime that you feel like you don't need to. Is that the case at this spot as well?
Yeah, so that's a great point, and I did do this in my stories. If you are a follower of my stories as well as a follower of the podcast, that I was actually I counted how just despicable is that? But I did it for my own research. I counted the number of limes that were squeezed in this big old bowl of avocados. You just pure avocados, salt, and lime. I'm like, okay. Now there were 9 limes that were squeezed in there, and I'm like, I always say I don't put limes on most of my tacos and most of my seafood. God, I don't put it on seafood. You guys are that's stupid. You're putting lime on ceviche. There's already lime, and and I don't put it in soups and a lot of dishes because I've found time and time again it doesn't improve the dish. But if there's an acid issue, if there's low acid, okay, I might correct. But I find that I don't have to. Now I looked at all that lime, go into the um, guacamole, and I was just like, okay, look at that. See, there's lime there. There might be even lime in the salsa. And so you're getting plenty of acid. You're getting acid from the tomatoes. It's a lower acid, but you got acid from tomatoes. You got lime already. So putting more lime to me kind of kills it. And especially most of you just like don't even think about like, well, how much lime should I put? You just like squeeze. You squeeze the life out of that thing and throw it all in there, seeds and everything, and you fuck up your taco. So I'm not here to do that. Okay. We want accuracy. And so this taqueria does not have adobada. It doesn't have tacos de fritanga. It just has carne asada. Matter of fact, the menu is literally 2 things. It's carne asada tacos and quesadillas de carne asada. And that's it. Handmade tortillas. Um, I again observed something that I've seen go wrong at so many taquerias is the fire control. I recently went back to Los Cholos and they are still just scorching flames. It's like fire hazard. It's just cooking the hell out of the meat and not getting the inside done very well. But I was watching the guy there use water and if there was any flare ups, he'd put water on it. And if he wanted more heat, he used a little fan, like a hair dryer. He used like a hair dryer. It's not a hair dryer.
It literally looked like a hair dryer, like a mini hair dryer he had with a little rope to the top of the grill.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it was a hair dryer or one of those more industrial blowers that you use like you get at a hardware store. But he did have that. He was blowing air onto the coals to get heat. So great fire control and great cooking. And of course, they rested the meat in a hotel pan. So important. I see every taquero in Los Angeles just throw it right out of that high flame ass fire and right onto the cutting board, and they just chop it, and the meat just dies there, my friends. It dies. It's going to become bad texture, bad flavor. Nothing is going to go right, and you're going to have a taco of weak sauce, weak salsa, because that's all that's left. Now these tacos had lots of smoke and salt. That's all you want from Tijuana style: smoke and salt, and and a just a simple beef flavor, and of course that great guacamole, the tomato sauce, onion, cilantro. If you want spice, you ask for a chile torreado. They didn't have them that night, so I was content to just enjoy it as is. And of course, a little finishing salt. I did notice my tacos needed a little bit of salt, just a touch. And these are perfect carne asada tacos. I recommend, honestly, for your first carne asada experience in Tijuana, everybody's been to Frank. Frank is great. It's a classic. It's busy. It's fun. It's got that big taqueria energy, you know. And that was for you, Gen Z. Big taqueria energy.
We appreciate it.
Oh, you got it. That's what I'm here for. And but if you start at El Russo, you're going to have the perfect entry into the Tijuana estilo Tijuana carne asada game. All right, and that's it for the Antojitos. The other place was a mariscos place, and I'm not talking about that one yet. And without further ado, vamos a taquear.
Bill, this episode is going to be part two of your Mexico City series. Part one, a few weeks ago, you broke down the 11 different styles of tacos that one can find. It was a very helpful guide. You didn't just name random places and say, go here. You gave people the tools to figure out what they like and they can explore for themselves. Highly recommend that episode. This week, you're going to start us off with a little walking tour.
Yeah. So every tour company, just about every tour company, runs this tour, this basic route. Now, a lot of tour companies are also doing stuff in Roma these days because there's so many people staying there. But the OG tour company, Mexico City Tour Company tour, begins at Palacio de Bellas Artes, which is obviously a great stop. I mean, you should go there anyway, right? But as you're there, while you're there, you might as well eat some street food. This walking tour that you will pay for with these companies, I'm giving it to you for free, buddy.
He's a man of the people.
This is for the people. We are for the people here, right?
We sure are.
and uh, and this kind of, so you can do this on your own. And I'm going to give you the menu and the walk. So let's go. So you're at Palacio de Bellas Artes, and you've looked around. It's beautiful. You can see all those tour company bags. They're on the steps waiting for their people all day long. They're running, and you're going to head to Dolores, which runs through Chinatown. So you're going to see the pagoda, right? So look ahead, look for the pagoda. That's Dolores, and walk under that, and that's your sign. You're on the right street. Okay, there you're going to head a few blocks and take a left at Ayuntamiento, and right on your left, make a left. On your left hand side is El Huequito, which is an excellent stop for tacos al pastor. I don't believe that the best al pastor in Mexico City is knowable. There are just too many places, and I despise these. Oh, this is the best tacos al pastor. You don't know. No one knows. Okay, but this is a great one, and it's a classic. It's minimalist. They roll the corn tortillas. It's really good al pastor, a great salsa, onion cilantro, and that's a perfect way to start the day. And now, facing south across the street, you're going to cut diagonally through Plaza de San Juan, hanging a right on Ernesto Pujibet, and enter the San Juan Gourmet Market. There are two San Juan markets, but this is the gourmet. This is the one that everybody goes to. And in there, you're going to find some stalls that you want to check out. Oaxaca Lindo has products from Oaxaca. Now, again, this is not Oaxaca, and you don't have to do this, but a lot of the tour companies will stop and do a little cheese tasting. They will do quesillo, which I think, like, why are we? I don't know about you, but I live in Los Angeles. We have quesillo here. We even have quesillo from Mexico. So that's a long way to fly just to eat the cheese I can get here. Now, can it be better there? Sure, but there's other cheeses to check out. So if you want a little cheese sampling or whatever, ask them about the queso de canasta and other types of cheeses they have at that stand. The other stall you want to hit is El Gran Cazador, which has all the bugs. You've seen the TikToks. Everybody's eating bugs. That's a great place to do it. And they're also fruit vendors if you want to try some Mexican fruit. Like stuff that's you might be able to get here in LA, like guanabana sometimes, but it's just not as fresh as you're going to get it there. Mamey fruit, other seasonal fruit. You can ask the fruit vendor. That's all the tour companies sort of do this little routine there. Now you're done. Exit the market the way you came in and head east to Calle Aranda. Now, up on your left, about 1 block away, is Pulqueria Las Duelistas for pulque. And this is a really cool chipster, like Mexican hipster, Chicano hipster spot, with a lot of locals, but a lot of the tour people, tour companies, and also tourists go there. And this is your chance to try pulque. It's not the best place, and you can have pulque in Mexico City, but it's a great intro and it's a cool experience. So you can try it natural, or you can get the cured, the curados, and the flavors change every day. Now you might want to save that for later. Instead of getting, it's going to take you a little bit. You're going to sit down. You're going to order drinks. It's very crowded in there, so you can either hit it now or come back a little later. and they might not even, depending on what time you're uh, taking off on your tour, they might not be open yet. So now, instead, take a right on Aranda, and then the first left, Calle Vizcaínas Poniente, and on your left is one of my favorite taquerias in Ciudad de Mexico, Ricos Tacos Toluca. And Oliver, the family there, they make their own Toluca style sausages. This is like Mexican charcuterie, friends. And get the taco de obispo, the chorizo verde, the queso de puerco. Everything there is great. So their chorizo, longaniza, the cecina, all handcrafted uh, sausages. And you definitely want to get the fries. The salsas are amazing. So that's one, you're knocking one of the tacos off the list. And opposite Rico's Tacos Toluca is a tlacoyo vendor. So tlacoyos are these diamond shaped masa um, forms, like a masa boat, but you don't put anything on it except you dress it a little bit with nopales and cheese. But it's stuffed, and it can either have broad beans or requesón cheese and just beans. Okay, so broad beans, requesón cheese. So get one of those. Now there's a better vendor one block south on Delicia, and Doña Rosa is there selling her tlacoyos. So you might want to try both. You might want to pick one. Both are great, okay? But maybe check out Doña Rosa. Keep going on Calle Lopez. By the way, Calle Lopez, now you're on Calle Lopez, right? So you've walked past Rico's Tacos Toluca, and you're now you just headed down to Delicias to maybe check out Doña Rosa. Calle Lopez is badass. There's all kinds of cool little things. There's fondas. There's a cantina. There are other taquerias that are really good. And then once you get to Arcos de Belén, on your left hand side is the other San Juan Mercado San Juan. Go inside and try aguas frescas at Doña Amelia. Incredible seasonal aguas frescas. Again, I know there's this urge to try uh, fruit you've never had before, and I think that's a great idea. But even if you see something you haven't had before, the aguas frescas game in Mexico is another level. The product is fresher. The fruit is better in general. So knock yourself out. Get whatever you want. Try the alfalfa. Try the mamey. See if they have guanabana, whatever flavors are in season. Now, on the other eastern edge of that market, on the same street, on Arcos de Belén, it changes to another name around there. And you're going to head north on Eje Central, which is parallel to Lopez, to República de Uruguay. Now, there you're going to see the old school El Moro. Now, I'm doing this for you. At this point, I'm not going to Mexico City to try these churros. If you're going for the first time, I know everybody wants to do it. So go ahead. This is the cool old school spot with churros and chocolate. Okay. And if you want to skip that, skip it. If not, have a seat and enjoy. A couple blocks north at 17 de septiembre, go to the right towards the Zócalo and take a stroll through Pastelería Ideal. That's that famous bakery, that large scale Mexico City bakery with just the most beautiful pastries everywhere, sweetbreads. So knock yourself out, order some things to go to eat later or on the way, and or just look. But come on, buy something. Buy something. You're going to go in. You're going to take up space and be in the way. Buy something. Now you're going towards the Zócalo, and you're going to head right on Bolivar. In less than 3 blocks, you'll arrive at Los Cucuyos. Now, this is another famous spot that every tour company goes to. And these are tacos de fritanga. And of course, the most famous cut there is the taco de suadero. And now, Los Cucuyos for me is not a destination anymore. It's gotten so, I don't like to say this. I mean, I want to say that a place can maintain itself, but I feel like there are so many better spaces for this. But if it's your first time in Mexico City and you've never had the suadero and you want to have a good version, Los Cucuyos is still good. It's just not for me anymore, but it's still a good hit. And again, everybody seems to still like it.
Yeah, man. Sometimes you just gotta pay respects to the OG spots.
It's not a bad idea to know the OG spots. It's not. I mean, again, are you gonna? Is it gonna ruin your trip? No. It might ruin my trip. I was just there with somebody, and he insisted on going there, and I was like, nope, nope, I'll go with you, but I'm not having tacos. Like, you gotta. There's only so much space, my friends, and we have other places to go to. Um, Now, one block south on Bolivar is my favorite cantina, La Mascota. And we're going to talk about cantinas a little later. So go there for Kiss covers. Now, I don't like Kiss, but I like two Mexican, Gen X dudes rocking out, in this cantina to Kiss songs, eating garden snails in mole and sipping bucanas, during happy hours. So do that
I
experience.
mean,
But
that's worth the price of admission right there
that's
alone.
it. That's the whole. Now, again, you you damn hipster. I don't know. Are we saying hipsters anymore? You cheesy, trendy tourists that want to go to the same cocktail bar you go in every damn city, the the mixology bars that you find in L.A. and New York and Chicago and Paris and London and Mexico. Yes, they're all good. It's a nice experience, but I really enjoy an old school cantina. If I want to have these kinds of bars, I can do that in L.A. Again, I don't mind going to the bars there either, but it's not. I feel like you know it doesn't have the sense of place that the cantina does. So go to the cantina now. Bookmark the cantina because maybe you want to come back for happy hour. I don't know what time it is, what you're doing today. Maybe you woke up late. Now you're going to go east on Mesones, which is right there where the cantina is. Go and look at the menu. By the way, look at the menu of the day and see what you're in for. And even if you see something that looks like, oh, I don't, you know, that doesn't sound exciting. Come on, these are botanas. And again, we're going to talk about that later. But check out the menu. Take a photo of it. Save it for later, and come back to the cantina. Now you're going east on Mesones. We're heading towards that Zócalo. And you're going to go right on Isabel la Católica for Taqueria El Torito. Now, for me, Taqueria El Torito is a better tacos de fritanga place. Now, go there for a taco campechano. You can get tripas. You can get all these cool cuts. But I would say if you're gonna really do this, you could skip los cucuyos or do both. Why not? A B. You can A B it, and you can tell me if I'm full of shit or not. So, but I prefer Taqueria El Torito. Great spot. And I get that campechano. Now, further east to Cinco de Febrero, veer north just past República de Uruguay. On your left is Tacos de Canasta El Flaco. That's one of my classic spots. There are many, many tacos de canasta places in Ciudad de Mexico. My favorite is El Joven, but that's a little ways away. This one is so damn good. You can have mole verde, adobo, papa, chicharrón, frijol, and just get your tacos de canasta there with some escabeche. You're not going to go wrong at all. I still go there, and it's only because if I'm in that area, it makes sense, right? Now, just keep heading north on Cinco de Febrero to the Zócalo and look around. Enjoy the plaza. Enjoy the Zócalo. Take your time. So now that you've had your tacos de canasta fix, on that same street, you came up on Cinco de Febrero and you went to the Zócalo. You're going to continue on that same street. It's going to become República de Brasil. And you're going to take that just a few blocks past the Zócalo to República de Cuba. Okay. And now, right when you get there, on your left, on the left side of the street, on República de Cuba, is this quesadilla place. This is going to be your Antojitos. So quesadillas, gorditas, sopes, um, huaraches, and again, we're going to talk about that later. But if you want to try Mexico City style quesadillas filled with huitlacoche, flor de calabaza, that sort of thing, this is a great spot. And on the right hand side of República de Cuba is another bunch of stands, all good. These are all good places. And Tacos El Puma is there, which is a tacos de guisado vendor, and we talked about that in the last episode, so I won't tell you what to do there. And that's a very solid street food tour. Um, I don't. You'll have to. I don't know how long that's going to take you because again, I don't know what you want to do there if you want to hang in some of these places. But let's count it down. You're knocking out El Huequito, San Juan Gourmet, Pulqueria Las Duelistas, Ricos Tacos Toluca, Doña Rosa for tlacoyos, the Mercado San Juan, El Moro, Los Cucuyos, La Mascota, Taqueria El Torito, Tacos de Canasta El Flaco, las quecas de Cuba, de República de Cuba, and also Tacos El Puma. That's a lot of hits, my friends. That's a lot of spots you can knock off your list. It's a great intro. It's a great first street food tour in Mexico City before you retreat back to your trendy Condesa hotel and your uh, Zona Rosa scene. And you're going to find plenty of great places over there too. But you're going to want to see some culture. You're going to want to see the Zócalo. You're going to want to see Bellas Artes. This is a great way to knock that, cross those off your list and also hit a bunch of street food stands. After it's all done, maybe you spend the whole day. Maybe you've done your time at the Cantina and you want to try some mezcal, head to Bosforo, not far from there at all. So that's another hit. That's a solid day of street food and traditional dishes from the streets of Ciudad de Mexico.
Yeah, man, I think walking tours are such a great way to like get to know a city. I think it's should be mandatory anytime you visit somewhere. Just walk, talk
Yeah,
to people, get to know these restaurants. This seems like a good guide. But what if you want something deeper? Like what if I want to get to know a city by some of the traditional places you could go? What does Mexico City have for someone looking for those types of things?
right. Well, we know Ciudad de Mexico is a taco city, and it's in sheer volume, depth, and it's 11 taco traditions. There is no better city on the planet for street food, right? We could argue that there's some more delicious things in different states, but just tacos de guisado alone, we're talking so many things. But there are other street foods and there are other traditional experiences you want to have. And so starting with these fondas. So you're going to see this word a lot of places. There are also modern fondas and comedores. So comedor, fonda, these are traditional restaurants that do regional food. You find them in the markets. Every single market has fondas and comedores. You see them in the side streets. You see them on Calle Lopez. And some of them are called comida económica, which is usually a more affordable version of the fonda. And that means simpler foods. And the thing that you want to try is comida corrida. Okay. You guys, you're going there to eat Thai food and shit. And I don't know what people are doing these days. They're eating Thai food in Mexico City. They're doing so. Here is a genuine local tradition of Mexico City food. Okay, so comida corrida. So comida corrida is a three-course meal that consists of a soup, a dry soup, and a guisado. And they always add an agua de sabor, which is your agua fresca, and some kind of dessert or little snack to have at the end. Sometimes it could just be a cookie, something simple. Um, Now at the fondas, I really recommend one in particular, one that I went to recently called Cocina La Terraza in the Mercado Juarez, and that fonda is wonderful. And this was my meal there. I had sopa de tortilla for my first course. Now you're thinking again, sopa de tortilla. Don't I have that at my everybody tries to do that dish here in the United States, and it always sucks. The soup itself might be okay, but they don't really do the dish right. They usually give you that one little strip of fried tortilla, and the rest of it's just chicken soup. And that's not a is that a tortilla soup? If you have one piece of tortilla, this soup was full of crispy tortillas that had just been thrown in. So they still had a little crunch when I first started eating it, but a wonderful soup full of tortilla. But other options, depending on the day, could be sopa de pasta, lentils, lentejas, consome de res. And again, you get your agua de sabor, which is going to be the agua fresca of the day. The reason it's going to change every day because the vendors are trying to get stuff that's affordable that day to offer you this price. And I'm telling you, you're eating a three-course meal of regional food for dollars. And after that, you get your dry soup, which is either rice or spaghetti. Now, spaghetti is just going to be a pasta with a tomato sauce, right? Simple. But again, it's a local thing. Put some cheese on top, and you're in Mexico. So your rice or your spaghetti comes out, and then your guiso, your main dish. Now I had pollo enchilado with rosa, which is basically uh, a chicken in a really rich, thick salsa that was almost like orange, really tasty. And the rusa is your potato salad, ensalada rusa. Wonderful meal. At the end, you could help yourself to the dessert bar. They had like papaya. I just had fruit, so papaya. They had salads too if you wanted to finish with a salad. But typical dishes in Mexico City that you're going to find at the fondas and comedores and comida económicas are espinazo con verdolagas. That's pork with purslane, chile relleno en salsa, costilla de cerdo en pasilla, pollo a la poblana, enchiladas, um, the pollo enchilado, like I told you, romeritos con tortas de camarón, and antojitos like tacos dorados. So I definitely go hit Cocina La Terraza. And another classic fonda is Fonda Margarita. You guys have seen this in all the TV shows, but that's more of a breakfast thing. You want to get there early, and all those guisos are going to be breakfast places. Those are two great recs. Okay. Now, getting to cantinas, also known as the Salon Familiar, and these are a great concept. And you only find this in Mexico, but you order drinks, and your food is based on your consumption. So if you everybody at the table orders a drink and you keep on drinking, they say, what botanas do you want, what snacks? And these are going to be, I hate, oh my god, it makes me sick because you people are so uneducated that I have to say tapas. Okay. Botanas, tapas, the same thing. But yes, tapas and you know what that is. But botanas in this case are small snacks. And, I didn't mean to say you're uneducated. It's just like, why do you guys always pay so much attention to Spain when all the flavors in Mexico? That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, most overrated food country in the world.
Most overrated. Spain is where Mexico is before they put the sauce on, you know? It's like Mexican food without the sauce, without the damn spice, without the flavor. So you have your botanas, and the botanas can be a small little shot of consomme or caldo de camarón, caracoles en adobo or mole, which are garden snails, petit gris. Isn't that fancy? Petit gris in adobo or mole, a whole chamorro of carnitas, like a pork shank, uh, frijoles charros, filete de pescado a la diabla, sopa de hongos, ostiones en su concha, sincronizadas, pollo entomatado, pancita, which is like a menudo, cola de res en salsa verde, sopa de médula, which is a spinal cord soup. And I know you're thinking, no, I'm not doing that. And honestly, you're a fool if you don't try that dish. It's a wonderful cultural dish from that part of Mexico. Manitas de cerdo en morita. It just goes on and on. Enchiladas potosinas, pollo al pibil, lengua a la veracruzana. And these cooks are badass cooks. Now, years ago at La Mascota, which is my favorite cantina, he was telling the waiter was telling me that all the women are badass cooks from primarily Hidalgo. And he just said that they know the most recipes. Like they can cook anything. And so they're changing the menu every day based on ingredients they get. And they're having to do this fast. You're talking, forget your Michelin star restaurant that's, oh, we're changing them. These are, this is doing it on a dime. Like, what can I get at the market? What dishes are we going to do today? Today, we're going to do a theme. We're going to do all Jalisco dishes. We're going to do all dishes from Mexico City. We're going to do Kentucky Fried Chicken, pollo Kentucky is on the menu sometimes. Chimichangas de camarón. So they just put together all these wonderful Mexican dishes from all over the country. They also have cooks from Puebla, from Oaxaca, from Estado de Mexico. These cooks are amazing. So your botanas, even if it's something simple like, you know, coditos, like a macaroni salad, or I was with somebody again from the United States. They're like, why are we ordering macaroni salad? I go, dude, we're here listening to these two old Mexican guys, rockers, just hardcore rockers, doing Kiss. Now, I hate Kiss, but I love these guys doing Kiss songs like I Want to Rock and Roll All Night. It just feels so amazing with all these older Mexicans like my age and young too, sitting around having simple cocktails, tequila, beers, and listening to these two guys just rock out. And they're also playing Mexican music too. They're playing Juan Gabriel and all that kind of music too. And then you're having these wonderful snacks. Some days it's really edgy, like you're lucky if you get the snails in adobo. But honestly, every time I go to these cantinas, the food is always great.
What do you think it is about Mexico City that the bar culture, these cantinas, it feels like they have so many more food options. There's so much more variety than what we have over here. Like what do you think are the causes of that?
Well, again, you're talking about cooks that are have a lot of recipes. You know, we don't. First of all, we don't have the Mexico City style cantina. Now, Mexico City is not the only place where they have these cantinas, also known as botaneros in other parts of Mexico. But Mexico City has the best system of all these regional cooks that not only cook from their region but cook from all over Mexico. They know so many recipes. They're doing recipes 365 days a year. They're doing 8 dishes, 9 dishes. And again, they're doing it with limited resources. They have to keep it cheap because people are not paying for the food. There are items on the cantinas that you pay for. Okay. And the waiters are going to get you to try to order those. They want to get you drunk and do that. Hey, I want to get drunk and do that. So I'm okay with it. Nobody has to force me. But we just don't have anything like that. And if you have a cantina style restaurant here in LA, or some part of the United States, you're going to be doing more Mexican American, even contemporary Mexican American food. So you're talking, you're getting guacamole, and you're getting tacos that are not the best, and you're getting things like that. You're not getting this regional cooking, and especially not getting cooks that can one day cook Veracruz recipes and the next day do Colima. So the depth of their cooking and their knowledge is unmatched. And these cooks, they don't get these jobs unless they can cook a million dishes. So that tells you something.
Yeah, man, must be nice to go to a place, get a couple drinks, and not have your options be limited to tuna crudo and little gem Caesar salad. The regionality you're describing really is that seems like the kind of standout thing that's going on right now in Mexico City. It's a seasonal city, like especially these chefs having access to markets, having access to different things. What do you think is a good way to enjoy those? Obviously, we love talking about Antojitos here, but when you're in Mexico City, how do you feel like you can go and experience some of the freshest things?
If you live in Mexico City, if you're one of these damn colonizers, that's moved there, that's working remotely, or if you're a citizen, you're enjoying Mexico City in its like very cosmopolitan moment, right? It's getting food from all over the world every year. There's even parts of Mexico that are coming. Everybody talks about mi compa Chava, and I, you know, I'm going to stop talking to people about it. I'm going to talk about it here, but like I'm like, okay, that's not from Mexico City. It's Sinaloa, and in Sinaloa, that's not anything special or outstanding. It is, the space is great, and the way they present is really wonderful. But honestly, you can get mi compa Chava cuisine at a street stand in Tijuana. I just did the other day, and you can go to street stands and simple restaurants all over Culiacan, Mazatlan, and you can get that level of seafood that you're getting at mi compa Chava. But I get it. If you're living in LA and you've never had that, you're going to want to do that. You have so many wonderful options, and none of those are bad options. The trendy fusion places, and the international cuisine with Mexican ingredients are all amazing. But for, I'd say for at least one day, let's get into Mexico City and let's eat local foods. And the street vendors are doing just amazing things. Now, for seafood, I do not go in for the seafood in Mexico City, like all the new stuff. I'm not going to Mi Compachava because I can go to Tijuana. I can go to Sinaloa, Nayarit if I want that food. Well, Sinaloa, that's where they're from. And all the Baja style seafood places. Again, I have chefs that I really admire that are doing those things. Those are great. If I lived there, I would miss Baja food and would want to go there. But I want to just go to the simple places. And you could go to La Nueva Viga, or Carla Mar, which is at República and Ignacio Comonfort. There's the old school place in that same neighborhood near Calle Lopez, near the Mercado San Juan, called Caguamo. And they used to be a stand. I think they're a full restaurant now. But these are simple Mexico City style seafood. Your empanadas of seafood empanadas, cocteles. The most famous is the Vuelve a la Vida, which is like a mixed seafood cocktail, like a campechano. Um, and you have the filetes de sierra with Valentina sauce. So that's they don't do fish tacos there. They just do fillets with salsa, and of course you can get oysters and other types of seafoods and tostadas at these places. But for me, I want to experience the local food, and I want to save, Sinaloa style mariscos for when I'm in Sinaloa or Tijuana, which is a really heavy Sinaloa influence. Now, other sort of dishes you got to hit in Mexico City to get the local flavor and local product is caldo de gallina. And this is a chicken soup. Again, a lot of you are going to try pozole, but Mexico City doesn't really have its own style of pozole. The pozole in Mexico City is amazing. It's coming from Guerrero, which is amazing. And again, there's a lot of places that people recommend. And if you want to do that, you should do that. But again, I'm going to steer you towards what's very Mexico City. They have caldo de gallina all over the city. One that's really accessible to you if you're staying in Roma and you are hipster is caldos de gallina Luis. Okay, it's always going to hit. So you're going to choose your chicken parts, right, with your soup. So you can try pechuga, boring, muscle, pierna, better. Okay, but the really cool cuts, rabadilla, huacal, alon. The rabadilla is the tail, cabeza, chicken head, an actual chicken head staring at you out of the soup. The patitas, mollejas, um, hígado, liver. Mollejas are gizzards. And so get your soup, order all your parts you want in there. I love these other cuts. And again, if you're from Los Angeles or some other part of the U.S. or part of the world, come on, don't get the chicken breast. Dive in a little bit. Dive into the bowl, okay? And you want to get that with a side of enchiladas verdes or uh, enchiladas de mole. They're excellent there. They're going to confuse you because the enchiladas in Mexico City look very different. They are really just blanketed with cheese and cream, and that's a lot of the flavor. But great enchiladas, as you should be. You're eating salsa when you're having enchiladas, not the other stuff. Here in LA, you tend to get tortillas like little tacos with some sauce on the side, but you should be getting this just drenched by salsa, cream, and cheese. Okay, so get that on the side. For tostadas, let's, steer you towards another famous place, Tostadas Coyoacan, which is to the south, and they're great. Okay, I want to get mine in Tepito. There's all these small vendors that do them, but you're gonna get a tostada that's just spread with a little bit of beans or mayonnaise, and it's gonna have tinga, ensalada, which is potato salad. Yes, there's a potato salad tostada in Mexico City. Salpicón, picadillo, ensalada de surimi, which is that fake crab salad. And again, it's great. I love it. Tostada de pata, which is pickled uh, foot. Okay, and then pulpo, also like a seafood salad. Tostadas Coyoacan has all kinds of toppings. The ones you're going to find in most smaller stands, like in Tepito, are just tinga, ensalada, salpicon, um, picadillo, and ensalada. Okay, but Coyoacan has a whole range of tostadas, so that's a really great place to hit. And of course, you can do your Frida stuff down there and other wonderful things in Coyoacan. Another type of food you got to hit. Now, I know what you're thinking, and I don't even, like I said, I'm going to start just cutting people out. Sometimes I meet with people there, and they don't want to do this and do that. So if you're going to meet me, if I'm going to take time out of my day, and I've been to Mexico City all these times, you're going to follow my lead. Damn it, okay? And I might want you to have elotes and esquites. Now, I know what you're thinking. I can get those in LA. No, no, you cannot. No, no, no. Not like this. Not with that corn. And especially when you get the seasonal, like the cacahuacintle corn, which is like that big kernel corn that they use to make pozole. It's the fresh version. So you can get those. You can get blue corn, um, elotes, esquites. And seasonal ones like elote morelos. Now, the place to go for this, there's all over the city they have these, but you want to go to the Mercado de Jamaica, go to La Huera, go to elotes Correa, and you can have your elote. I'm not gonna, if you want to say street corn, that's fine. But elotes, can we just say elote? It's embarrassing to say street corn. Um, and then esquites, which is the corn in a cup. But you can get all kinds of different esquites there. They have ones with bone marrow. They have ones with chorizo, um, habanero. Yeah, man, I'm telling you. Also, chicken gizzards, chicken feet, patitas, and and then of course you can get the esqui ramen, so esquites with ramen with maruchan, the dori esquites, dori elotes with doritos on it. You can get, but the options are huge. In LA we're getting sweet corn, mayo, um, or margarine or butter, uh, and it still tastes great. Cotija cheese, but over there, you're going to get the queso seco, the regional cheese, the local cheese. So if you see a cacahuacintle, elote azul, or these incredible esquites, you want to stop and do that. It's a great snack. It's not a big commitment. A small cup of esquites, you can do that. You can fit that in. But yeah, get them at the Mercado de Jamaica.
If you're saying no to esquitas, you're not invited back on any
You're
food
off the
crawl.
tour.
You're just who says no? You can't say no.
Well, the people they want to go to Roma and they want to try some Chinese food. I mean, get out of here. Go away. All right. And tlacoyos. We talked about tlacoyos earlier, but again, you're going to get those on Calle Lopez, the vendors there, Doña Rosa, and they're either filled with broad beans, uh, refried beans, or requesón. And again, they're going to be dressed with cactus, salsa, sprinkled with cheese. And so those are a wonderful way to enjoy masa, just pure masa diamonds of blue corn, very flavorful masa. Hey, there's even a vendor selling these things in front of. I know they might have. I'm sure they have tlacoyos, but they're also doing quesadillas and right in front of my sajo. See, that's Mexico City for you. Here is the most famous, where all the trendy tourists want to go to my sajo. My sajo is great, by the way, but everybody's like their first move is like I got to go to my sajo. Okay, whatever. But right outside, there's a traditional vendor right in front of it. That's bold, man. That's Mexico City. That's in your face. Okay. Mexico City is also a torta city. Um, it is. And the Chilangos, they eat tortas so much that even the taco stands offer tortas. So you can get a torta al pastor if you want at one of your favorite taquerias, or whatever meats they have. You can do a torta version. But the three tortas you have to have in Mexico City are the torta de chilaquil, the torta de chilaquiles, which is also called a tecolota. And again, that's a torta that's filled with runny red or green chilaquiles. I've seen them try to do this here in LA, but they do like, they don't even make the chilaquiles right, and it's all crunchy and shit. And it just doesn't work, guys. When you say it's Mexico City style. They make their chilaquiles and they sit in a tub and they get soggy as hell, and they just slop that into the torta, put some beans in there. They sometimes put a milanesa, and they also put cheese and cream and salsa. Oh my god, you know, it's amazing. So you want to get the torta de chilaquiles, the torta de tamal. And again, I know you're thinking, oh, that's too many carbs. I have to save room. No, no, no. You're in Mexico City. This is the best place to get this. And the guajolota, the torta de tamal, is famous. Any tamal vendor on the street has a torta. They have bolillo, so you can have your uh, uh, what's it called? Your tamal con en bolillo, tamal en bolillo. Now, chilangos, they're all asking for this. That's their big breakfast. And I know you're talking about a big calorie commitment here with these three tortas, but again, you can share it. You can do a half and give it away to somebody on the street. I always just take food to go, give it to somebody on the street. You're gonna find someone walking around. That's the idea. Okay, so you don't have to eat the whole torta.
We gotta make that a thing in LA. Order a second dish and give it to someone who needs it. I like that, Bill. I
That
can get behind
I
that.
do that here too.
I think that's a great
That's where
idea.
my food to go
I think
goes.
that's a great
That's
idea.
where it
I mean,
goes.
look, these tortas is definitely a lot of carbs, but that's why we went on a walking tour yesterday.
Exactly. Just keep walking, man. Just and now your choice for the tamales, which I always find this funny, is this is a very Mexico City thing. Is they'll even have signs that say tamales norm. They even have signs that say tamales normales y oaxaqueños. The tamales normales are regular tamales in corn husk. Okay, corn husk tamales. And again, if you're so stupid to say you've had tamales before in Los Angeles, these are not the tamales we have in LA or any other part of Mexico. They're sort of like torpedo shaped tamales, right? And they're husky. And the way they cook them there is so amazing. They're super soft, right? Um, and the guisos are different. The fillings are different. So you're gonna try a torta de tamal. It's not anything like you've ever had in your life before. So get a normal, a tamal normal, or the oaxaqueño, which is in banana leaf. Okay, so that's your only decision to make. But for those of you that are thinking, I'm going to go with the oaxaqueño because it's more moist, I'm telling you, their tamales are they're moist. The corn husk ones are moist and they sort of crumble inside. I recently had one in Tepito at a vendor that's been there like for like decades. Him and his wife, and it was so amazing. And I was lucky to get one of the last bolillos because he ran out. Everybody was like, "Oh shit, I got to eat a tamal without bread." That is the quagmire there in Mexico City. If your favorite vendor runs out of bread, you are screwed.
If the bread is running out, I guess Mexico does have a good bread culture after all, huh?
They, oh my god. Well, yeah, the bread culture thing. You know, you can show me the finest croissant, and you can make use of the best ingredients, but it does not taste better than a torta de chilaquiles or a torta de tamal. It does not taste better, and the bread is perfect. The bread is designed for those tortas. It's wonderful, and that is bread culture, man. Not a croissant, whatever. I like croissants, okay, but they are not better than this. Okay, get the fuck out of here. Um, then there's the tortas chilangas. Tortas chilangas are the most famous one is the cubana. The cubana is your super loaded torta, and it has milanesa, pierna, salchicha, chorizo, jamón, huevo, queso amarillo, queso blanco, quesillo, and of course all the tomatoes, onions, avocado, a spread of beans, mayonnaise, and that's the fully loaded one. So you want to try a cubana. So that's it. You want to have the torta de chilaquil, the tecolota, torta de tamal, guajolota, and the torta cubana. Now, at the same torta stands that do the Mexico City style tortas, which are in a telera roll, that more wide roll, they have a pretty good menu of different kinds of tortas. If you don't want to go all in on the cubana, there are sencillas, which are just like one ingredient, like a milanesa, a torta de milanesa with, of course, the vegetables and everything. And pickled jalapenos, I left that out, but those are always going to be in there. So then you have your your special tortas, especiales, which are named after countries or regions of Mexico, like the Argentina, the Napolitana, the Española, Brasileña, the Tejana, Poblana, Toluqueña, which has chorizo, of course, Colombiana, and the Suiza, which has three cheeses. Of course, it does. Holandesa, the Hawaiiana, you know that one. That one has ham and pineapple. Alemana, the Rusa. So all those have, they're going to be the same wherever you go, the same combination of ingredients. Those are combos. And then you have ones that are named after beautiful Latinas, like Talia, um, La Trevi, like named after Gloria Trevi, Lorena, Titanic, named after Roxana, who's a famous um, Argentine actress. So you have those types of tortas, and then they have their own inventions that you'll find. So you want to try this trio of tortas. There's other tortas, and there's other torta culture in Mexico City. I'd say if you're going to go for a fourth and you're going to go all in, if you are, you're my hero. You're going to get the torta al pastor at one of your favorite uh, al pastor stands. Okay, but the recommended places are La Esquina de Chilaquil for tecolotas. Um, any tamal vendor on the street, on a bicycle with a big metal pot selling tamales, go there for your torta de tamal or guajolota. And you're going to have to do a trek for this, or you're going to have to go north to my favorite part of Mexico City for street food is Tortas Gigantes Sur 12. Go there for your cubana and your suiza or whatever you want to get, and they're going to be big. You don't have to get the super giant ones, but they're going to be big. And again, bring a friend to have those. And you and your friend split the half, take the other half, give it to someone on the street, have it wrapped before. Don't put your damn spit on it. Have it wrapped and drop it off to somebody. Okay. Mexico City is a torta city, and if you're not eating tortas and you're doing it because it's too many carbs, you're not really there, are you? All right, last but not least, one of the biggest categories, and many of the dishes we've talked about already fall into the category of antojitos, okay? But your antojito stands are where you're going to be getting your quesadillas, sopes, huaraches. These are different masa shapes, right? And pambazos, also, which is not a masa shape. It's a special sandwich. This is another torta, a soft torta, and gorditas. Also, they sell flautas and at these stands, in addition to the different um, uh, masa shapes, right? And now, pambazos is a special dish. These are two pieces of bread that are dipped in a salsa de chile guajillo. That's usually what the salsa is. And then they're toasted on the comal, and you see them all over at the stands. They're like red sandwiches. They're filled with a mix of potato and chorizo, of great local chorizo, not that supermarket shit we get here, but great local chorizo. And then you have lettuce, you have cream, you have cheese, and some salsa. And those pambazos are amazing. So I have a rec for that. Now the quesadillas, the fillings are typical. Again, you're gonna fly. They are typical fillings. You're gonna find at all stands, and you can get um, you know, the this on any of the shapes, but they're going to be chicken, beef, also the guisados like picadillo, hongos, mushrooms, flor de calabaza, huitlacoche, tinga, longaniza sausage, bistec, and they're dressed with cream, salsa, lettuce, queso seco, and there are specific stands that specialize in some of these, but usually your quesadilla stand is going to do all these things: huaraches, sopes, gorditas. There are stands that just do gorditas, like gorditas de chicharron. So you can look for places that do that. Now, there also are stands that just do flautas. I recommend flautas magos. Oh my God. They're campechano, where you get the red and green salsa, and you just tell them how many flautas you want, and get the campechana, um, and get both salsas, the cream, the cheese, lettuce, and eat that sauce, man. Flautas magos is amazing. Quesadillas de República de Cuba. I told you about that earlier. Go there. There's also quesadillas Jenny in Roma, which everybody goes to. That's a great spot too. Then there's kushanaquecas de San Cosme, and these are fried quesadillas in the Mercado San Cosme. At Entrada 12 at the Mercado Lagunilla is a stand. You'll see them parked right in front that are doing incredible pambazos and also quesadillas, tlacoyos, and all these different types of things. So, you're going to see these all over the place. You can research other ones. I don't care where you can do this all in Roma. You can do this all in Condesa, but I recommend some of these old school spots. Now, is that everything? There are one-off dishes, specialties, especially when I go to Tepito. They always surprise me with their really inventive takes on traditional Mexican dishes. So there are small little snacks, botanas, fun things, like I just love the jicaletas. They're just so funny that there's a jicama popsicle that's dressed with lime and chile, and so that you're eating jicama on the street with, like, from a popsicle stick. I love those, right? So you can have those too. Those are a wonderful snack. But and of course the aguas frescas everywhere to go with your dishes, and you can try all kinds of different ones and trendy new ones with these two guides: my taco guide, the 11 styles of tacos to have in Mexico City, and this guide of other street foods, fondas, cantinas, is a great way to know Mexico City and the traditions that have been around long before Mexico was a destination for uh, remote workers and international tourists. These spots persevere, and they also represent a lot of the local um, migration routes from nearby states. A lot of your antojitos are traditions from Puebla, Estado de Mexico, that have been around now a long time, that have become Mexico City traditions with their own little tweaks. And I have to say, the salsas are wonderful. Salsas run spicy if you get out of Roma and Condesa. I know they're accommodating the damn colonizers, but in these other neighborhoods, you're going to get hot, spicy salsas. That's what you want. That's the flavor. Now, you have a lot of places, a lot of recs here. You have a walking tour. You have all 11 tacos to look for in Mexico City. Are you still hungry for more? Well, stay tuned. And that's going to be it for part 2 of my Mexico City guide. Uh, Covered a lot of ground here, a lot of stuff outside of tacos, and we also included some tacos in the walking tour. So keep an eye out for part 3 in a few weeks. For those who prefer the finer things in life, somebody said this to me recently, says, "Oh, I know you, Bill. You go high and you go low." I know what that means to you, buddy. Smart ass. But yes, I do. You're right. I go high and I go low. And we got you covered. I do fancy. I like to eat in Tepito during the day, and I like to stay in my nice hotel in the night, luxury hotel. And I like fine dining. I love tasting menus like you won't believe. And wine pairings, I will be doing them till the day I die. And that's it for this week. Thank you, Robert.
Thank you, Bill.
All right, and stay tuned next week for our next episode. Thank you for tuning in to the Taqueando podcast this week. And be sure to tune in next week for another episode. And please leave us a rating or review wherever you listen to your podcasts.